Hello, dear learners. Welcome to another session of learning. So, today we're going to see a poem. This poem is by Siegfried Sassoon and it's titled A Subaltern. So, all of you must have heard the word subaltern somewhere or the other. So, subaltern means a person of subordinate rank in the military. And this poem also has, tones related to war and the army. So we have some pictorial representation for you over here. So the poet Siegfried Sassoon, he worked in the army. His friend David Cuthbert Thomas, and we also see him along with his friend David Thomas in the next picture. So this entire, poem is about his friend David, and David was actually a victim of war. And this poem is actually, it is about the loss that Siegfried Sassoon felt for his friend, and it is like depicting the conditions in which his friend had lived during the war period. So in the words of Siegfried Sassoon, so this is so Tommy left us, a gentle soldier, perfect and without stain, and so he will remain in my heart, fresh and happy and brave. So this was his, touching lines for his friend. So we find that he's written this poem in memory of his friend. So this poem has two stanzas to it, and we see both these stanzas have, pictures of war and what a soldier goes through during the time of war. So let's see, the first stanza we see him describe his friend. So he turned to me with his kind, sleepy gaze and fresh face slowly brightening to the grin that sets my memory back to summer days, with 20 runs to make and last man in. He told me he'd been having a bloody time in trenches, crouching for the crumbs to burst, while squeaking rats scampered across this line, and the grey, falseed weather did its worst. So here you have two contrasting pictures. One is of his memory of his summer days, and the other is the memory of what his friend has shared to him about his living conditions in the war zone. So we find that, during the summer days, we see he and his friend shared a passion for cricket and they used to play cricket. And here's a pictorial representation also from back in those days when they used to play cricket. So, his friend had a passion for cricket and he enjoyed doing it, and you see him full of life over there. But then, his friend also describes a contrasting picture of how he is living in the trenches, how he is actually, living out of fear. He has to go through his life very scared of what is going to take place next, because anytime there are live mines and it might go off. So, he was in the constantly in the fear of death. And we also see him talking about how there are rats that are scampering around in the place where he stays. And to add to all his poor living conditions, we also find the weather is also not very helpful. The bad weather, the grey weather is also playing havoc in the life of his friend. So this is stanza 1 for us. And moving on to the next stanza, we also find him says, but as he stamped and shivered in the rain, my stale philosophy that served him well, dreaming about his girl had sent his brain blanker than ever. She'd no place in hell. Good God, he laughed and slowly filled his pipe, wondering why he always talked such tripe. So here we see how, he talks about the girl he loves and how that's not going to help him through in, within the wartime. And somehow we see that he is going through a bad phase in his life during facing this war, being a soldier, being a subordinate in this unit where he is serving. So his friend is not in very conducive atmosphere, and we see that Sassoon has, quite well he has represented that in this poem. And the main ideas are about the harshness of war, how you know the soldiers, how they live, where they live, the places they live are not, very sophisticated lifestyles that they live. It's a very harsh life that they go through. And we also see there's dreariness. There's not much happening. There's grayness all around, and through it all, one thing only keeps them true, which is relationships. The relationships of friendship, the relationships of long-lasting love, or longing love, which they feel. So all these are some of the things that are touched upon by Sassoon in this poem, which is dedicated to his friend. So I hope you liked reading this poem and also getting to know a little more about the poem. So thank you everyone for joining. Happy learning.